It is America's oldest monster. It is not a vague collection of regional sightings, but a single, named entity. A creature with wings, hooves, and a scream that paralyzes the soul. It is seen by politicians, by police officers, and by thousands of citizens. This is the case file of the Jersey Devil, a legend we think we know, but whose true origins are far more human than demonic. The panic began in January 1909. It did not start in the isolated Pines, but in the populated Delaware Valley. In Bristol, Pennsylvania, Postmaster E.W. Minster reported a winged creature with a terrifying cry. Almost simultaneously, police officer James Sackville saw the same thing, firing his revolver at it to no effect. But the sightings were not the most disturbing part. It was the tracks left behind. They were everywhere. Hundreds of cloven hoof prints dotting the snow-covered rooftops of Philadelphia. They crossed yards, circled homes, and were found in the middle of frozen rivers. They often stopped dead, as if the creature had simply vanished into the air. Within 48 hours, what had been a local curiosity exploded into a regional hysteria, gripping dozens of towns across 2 states. Society began to shut down. Panic swept through the working class first. Parents refused to send their children to school. Entire districts closed. The creature was no longer hiding. It was becoming aggressive. In Haddon Heights, a streetcar full of passengers claimed the creature charged them, circling the car on its tracks. In Camden, members of a social club threw objects at it from their window, only for it to attack the building. Police departments in multiple municipalities issued official warnings and formed armed posses to hunt the creature down. Then came the opportunists. The Philadelphia Zoo offered a $10,000 reward for the creature's capture. A local museum, sensing an opportunity, mounted a different creature entirely. They attached wings to a kangaroo, painted it with stripes, and claimed to have captured the devil. The public was not fooled, and the panic only intensified. The sightings continued, overwhelming telegraph offices and police switchboards. For one terrifying week, thousands of rational people were united in their belief that a 200-year-old legend was real and hunting them. And then it stopped. As quickly as it arrived, the wave of sightings ceased. The tracks vanished. The screams fell silent. The hysteria faded, but the core question remained, unanswered for over a century. What did they see? And why had this specific monster, the Leeds Devil, been waiting in the shadows of New Jersey for centuries? The legend begins in 1735. It starts in the heart of the dark, isolated New Jersey Pine Barrens. The story centers on a poor, overburdened woman known to history as Mother Leeds. She already had 12 children and was exhausted by poverty and endless toil. When she learned she was pregnant with a 13th, she raised her hands in a violent storm and cursed the child. Breath. She allegedly invoked the devil himself, crying out, "Let this one be a devil!" The night of the birth arrived, a howling, rain-lashed night. The local midwives gathered as Mother Leeds went into labor. According to the legend, the child was born seemingly normal, but within moments, it began to mutate in front of their eyes. It became a monster. The legend describes a creature with a head like a horse or kangaroo. It grew large, leathery, bat-like wings. Its feet became cloven hooves, and a long, forked tail whipped through the air. It is said to have brutally murdered the midwives before turning on its own mother. With a blood-curdling scream, the creature smashed through the roof of the small cabin and escaped into the darkness of the pines. This was the birth of the Leeds Devil. For the next 2.5 centuries, this was the accepted story. The creature became the supernatural explanation for every dark event in the Barrens. It was blamed for stillborn livestock, for crops failing, and for the eerie screams that echoed from the cedar swamps. It was a boogeyman used by parents to keep children from wandering into the dangerous, disorienting woods. But the archive demands facts. We must ask the first, most important question. Was Mother Leeds real? The answer is yes. Historical records from the 18th century Burlington County confirm the existence of a Deborah Leeds. She was married to Japhet Leeds, and together they had 12 children, not 13. There is no record of a monstrous birth, no mass murder of midwives. There is only a real family, living in a difficult, isolated environment. The legend, then, is a fabrication, a story deliberately attached to a real woman. But by whom? And for what purpose? The folklore provides a clue. The residents of the Pine Barrens, often called Pineys, were themselves isolated and looked down upon by the wealthier coastal communities. The devil became their mascot, a symbol of their rugged, misunderstood, and dangerous independence. But this local adoption doesn't explain the creation of the legend. It doesn't explain how it became so specific, so widespread, and so political. To find the real demon, we must look away from the swamps and toward the bitter rivalries of colonial-era politicians. The true origin is not in a curse. It is found in colonial politics and a bitter commercial rivalry. To find the truth, we must stop calling it the Jersey Devil. We must use its original 18th century name, the Leeds Devil. The legend, it turns out, was a deliberate, targeted act of character assassination. The target was the Leeds family. The Leeds were a prominent, real family in 18th century New Jersey. The patriarch, Daniel Leeds, was a royalist surveyor and politician. He was also a publisher, producing a popular almanac filled with astrological and occult symbols. His political enemies, primarily the powerful Quaker faction, already viewed his work as heretical and demonic. But his most dangerous rival was not a politician. He was a publisher in neighboring Philadelphia, Benjamin Franklin. This was the Almanac War. Franklin's Poor Richard's Almanac was in direct competition with the almanac run by Daniel's son, Titan Leeds. Franklin, a master of propaganda, began ruthlessly mocking the Leeds family in print. He publicly associated their name with the occult, with Satan, and with anti-populist politics. He effectively poisoned their reputation, painting the entire Leeds line as devils in the public square. The final piece of the puzzle was the Leeds' own family crest. The official emblem of the Leeds family, visible on their publications, was a wyvern, a winged reptilian creature that looks exactly like a dragon. Here is the synthesis. We have a real family, the Leeds, with a reputation for occultism. We have a powerful enemy, Benjamin Franklin, amplifying this slander for political and commercial gain. And we have a visual confirmation, a devil on their family crest. The Leeds devil was never a child. It was a political metaphor, a smear campaign so effective it lasted 300 years. The story of Mother Leeds cursing her 13th child was simply the folklore that grew around this political seed. But this does not explain 1909. A political story cannot leave tracks in the snow. It cannot charge a streetcar or terrify a police officer. The legend provided the psychological framework for the panic, but something else, something real, had to be the trigger. The Archives investigation concludes that the Panic of 1909 was a classic case of mass misidentification. Music. The real culprit was a bird. Let us re-examine the eyewitness reports from that week. A creature with a horse-like head, a long, thin neck, a massive wingspan, estimated at 8 to 10 feet. And most importantly, A blood-curdling, unearthly scream. This is not the description of a demon. It is a perfect description of the sandhill crane. The sandhill crane stands 5 feet tall, has a 7-foot wingspan, and its rattling prehistoric cry is famously terrifying to those who have never heard it. Let's analyze the behavior. In the early 1900s, sandhill cranes were almost extinct on the East Coast. A sighting, especially in winter, would have been shocking, an alien creature to the populace. The cloven hoof prints on rooftops. A crane's large, splayed foot landing in snow perfectly matches the photos of the tracks that baffled police. The attack on the streetcar is a known behavior. It's a threat display where a frightened crane spreads its wings and charges a perceived predator. The people of 1909, already steeped in the Leeds devil folklore, did not see a lost, rare bird. They saw the monster they were expecting to see. A monster is a mirror. In the case of the Jersey Devil, that mirror reflects our own human conflicts. It reflects the political slander of a founding father and the public's willingness to believe it. It reflects our very real, primal fear of the unknown, a fear that can turn a rare bird into a demon. The legend of the Leeds Devil, then, is not a supernatural warning, but a historical one. A lesson in how fear and propaganda can forge a monster that outlives its creators by centuries. This is the work of the archive. We find the truth hidden within the lore. The legends are not just stories, they are case files, waiting to be decoded. What legends from your own region do you believe might be a warning in disguise? Share your local folklore in the comments below.